I set the stage yesterday, and now let's get to the fun stuff. Let's start with day one of the Comic-Con Breakdown. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
That was actually a lie. It's gonna be day one and day two. So Thursday and Friday of the Comic-Con weekend. It's 4 days. Yesterday I included all the preview stuff because, I did it. I was there. It was a fun experience, and also kind of set the stage of how things went there to explain, the different types of interviews and stuff, how they worked. But let's get into it. Let's get into the fun stuff. By the way, I tried putting clips and stuff here. It sounded kind of weird, and I have a lot of clips on my phone. I still don't have all the video of stuff. That's why the YouTube thing is just going to take a little bit longer. The video version of this is going to take a little bit longer. So I considered putting, because I have most of the clips I have on my phone. And I considered putting the snippets here, I spoke to this person, and this is how that sounded. It just sounded kind of weird. And honestly, I think it's just better to put in the whole thing together. Like, for example, if I spoke to the cast of Van Helsing, I'll just put all the things together, and it'll be way easier, way more funner that way, instead of me right now. Because right now, I kind of have an opinion on things. Well, I always have an opinion on things. It's a problem. But it's like, every single thing I put, this is how that sounded. Oh, yeah, and she was so nice, blah, blah. And I have to say stuff about it. It just sounded kind of weird, so I just figured, you know what? I'll leave that for later. Today, you're just going to have my perspective on things. During the week, you will be getting, once I get all the video stuff, I'll just load everything together, and you can find that on YouTube, and I will load all that stuff into the Rock 105.3 page as well. But now that I mentioned it, before I forget, you can always find the podcast in the iHeartRadio app. Just type in Super Dario World, type in The Show Presents Super Dario World. You'll find it right there. Or you can find it in iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube as Super Dario World Podcast. But okay, let's get started. This is day one, officially. I'm considering the other one day zero. This is going to be official day one because this is when Comic-Con started. Thursday. Last Thursday. What is it? What was it? July, I'm going to double check that. July 18th, I think? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so Thursday. The first thing that we had in the docket was Jason Mewes. And so for those of you who don't know who Jason Mewes is, he plays Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. So the View Askew universe, all those movies, Mallrats, Dogma, Clerks, all that stuff. He plays Jay of the duo Jay and Silent Bob. All those movies. Really nice guy. We've had him on the show before, not my podcast, in the show. I work for the morning show in Rock 105.3's The Show in San Diego. And so we've had him a bunch of times before. I met him before. And so Jason, we had him in the room. It was, if you guys remember, there were 4 types of interviews. In our room, the press line, round table, or red carpet. So our room was private, so it was just us. It was just me and Derek talking to Jason about his new movie. Well, they released a trailer for the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which we really want to talk about because it's star-studded. Everybody and their mother makes a cameo there. But also, Jason Mewes, he directed his first feature film. It will be coming out soon. It's the last movie where, oh my God, I'm blanking out. And this is really bad. I'm blanking out on I'm sorry. Okay, Stan Lee. Wow. Oh God, that was really bad. That was really bad. Okay, I blanked out on Stan Lee. Okay, so it's the last movie where Stan Lee actually made a cameo. So I saw the movie because we got a press link for it. It's funny. It's weird because at first you're like, what the hell is happening? It's a very violent movie. But it's called Madness in the Method. It's directed by Jason Mewes. Kevin Smith also makes an appearance as himself. It's actually pretty enjoyable. I enjoyed it. It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's wild. It's very brutal. So we talked about that movie. It was great. At the end, Jason's kind of a weird dude, and he does not stop talking. So it's great because, when you're interviewing somebody, you always have questions on the docket. Okay, I want to ask him about this. I want to ask him about this. And you ask him one thing, and he answers all of them. And then you're like, fuck, I gotta, I gotta come up with stuff on the fly. Fortunately, I knew his career And so we could just we could riff on stuff. And like I said, we've met before. And by the end of the interview, we had like a little Nerf almost bazooka. And Jason Mewes saw that because we had some toys in the room. We had some coloring stuff so that they could be coloring if they wanted to. Actors are weird. They like doing weird things. And so some of them enjoy coloring during the interview. Actually, most of them enjoyed doing the coloring bit because if it was a big cast, they could be coloring while somebody else is talking. It was fun. We also had some toys. I'll be breaking down the toys. Well, not all of them, but I'll be mentioning a few that are relevant. So there was a big bazooka, a Nerf bazooka. Jason Mewes saw that and just beelined towards it. He just beelined it. And he's like, can I shoot somebody in the room? Can I shoot somebody? He's like, sure, whatever, man. And there was a camera guy there who was dressed as a Fortnite character. I'm not a big Fortnite guy. I played it once, not my thing. And so he just turned the bazooka like, he's my enemy. Boom. I actually loaded a video of that on my Instagram story. I'll probably do it on my post. Right now, I think I've only done one post because I have too much stuff to go through. I was going mainly through audio stuff to make sure that it worked, to make sure that it sounded okay. Most of it is usable, and now I'm transferring into the pictures that I took and videos and stuff. So I will also load that. So you will be able to check out that Jason Mewes shooting at our camera guy. It was a lot of fun. And that thing, that bazooka was it was extremely well made. It was very precise. There was, out of all the people that I shot at, I'd say I had a 90% accuracy, and it's the same for everybody. Everybody who used it usually was right on the money, or like a few inches from hitting them. It was a really well-made bazooka. Well done, Nerf. So, after Jason Mewes, we had the cast of Van Helsing, the TV show, in the room. This show is surprisingly good. I heard the premise the first time, and I heard about the show because last year I got to meet Van Helsing herself. It's Vanessa Van Helsing. The twist on the show is that here it's a female. It's a descendant of the original Van Helsing, and the thing that she has is that if she bites a vampire, the vampire turns back to human. That's kind of the twist. It has a lot more twists. But the show, I remember I met her last year, and I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll give the show a shot because she was really nice, and I'll give it a shot. The show is really good, and the thing that I like the most is that it has a lot of villains. It's a lot, and I mean a lot of really, really good villains. It's kind of like it's a post-apocalyptic show. Let me try to explain it real quickly. Imagine, I've always said, actually I haven't said that on the podcast, but I've said this before in regular life, that I think that the biggest threat for humanity right now is the Yellowstone super volcano. And for those of you who watch The Road, I think that's what happens in The Road, that the world just gets covered by, because it's a super volcano right in our backyard, and if that thing erupts, it's going to basically cover the world in ash. Not in ash, but it's going to cover the sun, and if the sun rays could cover the atmosphere in ash, pretty much in smoke, and chemicals and all that stuff. And so it's going to be toxic for starters. But second, the sun rays won't be able to pass through all the clouds. And so plants will die. And so we also will have vitamin D deficiencies and stuff like that. Animals will die because the plants are dying. The point is, the show takes place kind of after the Yellowstone eruption. And if there's no sunlight, that means that vampires can just walk around, right? Because they can walk around during the day. So you got vampires walking around, and there's different types of vampires. Some of them are kind of like zombie vampires. It's an interesting show. It's a very, very good show. I highly recommend it. And so we got to meet the cast. Unfortunately, the two leads of the show were not there, Vanessa Van Helsing and Axel. But I think they were busy with something else. But we got everybody else. And here's the big one. I'll say who it was. So we got the executive producer of the show, who is Jonathan Lloyd. We got two newcomers, Kia King and Nicole Munoz. I have no idea what their characters are. Really nice people. We got Jennifer Cheon, who plays Ivory. Alex Paunovic, who plays Julius, and is a gigantic human being. Check out, go on my Instagram at Dario the Show. On the Van Helsing post, it's the first picture I put. I'm there between two of the cast members. I'm not a short guy. I'm 6 feet tall. This guy is a head taller than me. He's a gigantic human being. And it looks like, honestly, I put the joke on my Instagram story that it looks like it's a picture of me and my parents. It's really it's quite something. Also, we have Christopher Heyerdahl. I have no idea if that's how you say his name. To me, he's always been the Swede. He plays Sam, by the way. And Trisha Helfer, who is also a newcomer and will be playing Dracula on the show. Now, for those of you who don't know who Trisha Helfer is, Trisha Helfer played Cylon 6 in a little TV show called Battlestar Galactica, the reboot. I have been in love with this woman since the first moment I saw her. She is like a goddess and like an Amazon, because also she's a very tall person. Again, look at the picture. I'm in the middle of Alex and Trisha. They're a head taller than me almost. She is. First off, let me explain how that happened. Again, we were in the room. So it was a round table. It was me and my friend Derek Santi, who is an entertainment reporter and who basically set up the whole thing, hooked me up with the job and everything. And so he was running the show, but I also got to be part of the round table. So in the round table, all I wanted to do was talk to Trisha. That's everything you want to do, because all your attention focuses on the fact that, oh my god, it's Cylon 6. Oh my god, it's Cylon 6. And I wanted to fanboy out so much, but I'm a professional, and so I avoided asking any Battlestar Galactica questions because I knew that I would lose it. And so, but before that, I knew that I had Van Helsing in the room, and I was pretty comfortable with it. I didn't even ask who it was going to be, but we had an hour in between Jason Mewes and Van Helsing, so I was like, you know what, Derek, can you send me the list of who's coming in? I assumed it was going to be Vanessa Helsing, and I thought it was, okay, I met her before. We kind of had a decent rapport. It'll be fine. I've seen the show. If it went okay before when I didn't watch the show, it should go even better now. Then he sends me the list, and I see Trisha Helfer there. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Cylon 6 will be in the room? And she's playing fucking Dracula? Are you kidding me? So, I was very, very happy that I decided to ask. Because if she would have just walked in the room without me having that freak out moment before, I don't know what I would have done. It would have been very embarrassing. I would have been just, like, dumbfounded, because I had a few minutes to prepare, like to mentally be like, okay, I'm meeting Cylon 6. Okay, I'm meeting Cylon 6. I'm meeting Cylon 6. By the way, Battlestar Galactica, one of my top 3 sci-fi shows of all time. I highly recommend it. It is a phenomenal show. Highly recommend it. Anyway, also, for those of you who are wondering and watched the show, I actually did enjoy the ending. I know it's very controversial, but I did enjoy it. And so, okay, she walks in the room, and it's really, really hard when you're sitting there with, how many people were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. There were 7 people. And you have 15 minutes, and you kind of want to spread questions around, but every part of you just wants to talk with one person. Well, 2, because Christopher, who plays Sam, I'm a big fan of his work too. I first saw him on the TV show Hell on Wheels. He plays the Swede, who is a phenomenal villain. And I mean phenomenal villain. He's one of my favorite villains in TV. And I was stunned the first time that I learned that he wasn't Swedish, because his accent is astoundingly good. So I wanted to kind of just focus my attention on those 2, but you can't, so you kind of have to spread it around. And I kind of had like a little joke moment between me and Trisha. It was really awesome. I ask a question, and I'm asking her a question because she's as the big newcomer in the show, and she immediately corrects me like, no, I'm not the only newcomer. We have also these lovely ladies, blah blah. And if you're like, oh, well, and I try to kind of like, oh, well, I mean, because you're the big. I wanted to say the big name, but it's like, okay, but you're playing Dracula. It's like, okay, I'll take it. I'm the tallest. I'm the tallest of the newcomers, stuff like that. So we kind of played it off there. Afterwards, I made her another question, pretty much like, Derek made her a question of the whole cast. He asked the whole cast, how would they describe in one sentence, how would they describe the next season of Van Helsing? And so Trisha points at Nicole Munoz, the other newcomer, and she's like, I heard an interview of yours where you used the way you described it. I really enjoyed it, and the word you used was delicious. So that's how I'm going to describe it. And I've never been one to hold my tongue. It's really hard for me sometimes. I'm like, okay, so you just stole her answer. Cool. And everybody in the room really enjoyed that. And at first I was like, oh shit, did I go a little bit, too far? But no, she enjoyed it. It was great. She laughed. It was great. I made Silent Six laugh. I made Silent Six. That was something for me. I know it's pathetic. I don't care. But hopefully it'll make her remember me even for that moment. And if I meet her next year, we'll have that rapport thing. I don't know. Dude, I'm just really happy. I'm really happy I got to meet Silent Six. That was a big deal for me. The fanboy in me was really happy. Was extremely happy. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. Again, top 3 sci-fis. Top 3 sci-fis. Might be even number 2. I know it's not number 1, but it might even be. It's. Okay, I'm getting a little bit too far. I'm going to be too ahead of myself. It was a phenomenal experience. I was so happy it happened, and I can't wait to see the video of it, because that one, I got the audio on my phone, but I want to see it happen in real time to see if it was as magical as I remember. Anyway, after that, we had the Banana Splits movie in the room. Now, for those of you, it's a horror comedy it's a remake of the original horror comedy of the Banana Splits. I didn't see it, but so I wasn't going to be part of the table, but I was going to be in the room because I had nothing to do for a little bit, and I was prepping for stuff. I was going through notes for my next stuff and stuff like that. And so as they come in, they send in 2 people. The first guy I actually knew. His name is Eric Bausa. He is a voice actor. I met him last year he was promoting the TV show Unikitty. If you guys remember Unikitty from the Lego movie, apparently it had their own TV show. Now, I remember that interview specifically. Well, I remember the Unikitty show specifically because for me, it was kind of a nightmare. And it went well. All the interviews went well, but to me it was kind of a nightmare because they told me last second. Last second they said, hey, we got Unikitty, you're free right now, go. It starts in 5 minutes, go. And I was like, I've never seen the show. I mean, I saw the movie, but I've never seen the show. I don't even know who's in it. I don't even know who I'm going to be talking to. This is my first time at Comic-Con, so I had to do a press line for the show Unikitty, and I had no idea. No idea what to expect. No idea who was going to be there. No idea what even to ask about. I didn't know what the theme of the show was going to be. Nothing. All I knew is what I saw from the Lego movie, and Unikitty, while a relevant character, is not a big character, is not a big part of the movie. So I remember freaking out. Most of the interviews went well. Voice actors are fortunately really cool. But I remember one particular moment with Eric. And by the way, Eric has voiced everybody and their mother in the industry. Like voice actors, if you're a good one, you will work everywhere. DC, Marvel, TV shows, movies, video games, everywhere. Check out his IMDb. He's an extremely talented guy. And so we were chatting on camera and while I was doing his interview. And I don't know why something about the Looney Tunes came up. And I just remember saying like, oh yeah, do you know that they're doing a Looney Tunes reboot? And his answer was like, yeah, I'm voicing most of them. So I remember that was a very, very embarrassing moment for me. I was like, oh shit, I got caught that I was unprepared. I hate getting caught with my pants down like that. I want to prepare. I'm an over-preparer. And I take this very seriously. I took it very seriously last year. So I remember that. I got to see Eric again this year. He remembered that, unfortunately. But we joked about that. It was a good moment. But the other person that walked in with him is voice actress and also on-screen actress Sarah Canning. Now, for those of you who don't know who Sarah Canning is, she plays Aunt Jenna in The Vampire Diaries. Now, I watched The Vampire Diaries because I was dating a girl who was really into it, and I like TV. I like the CW, and I'm not a big vampire guy. Not a big vampire guy, but I started watching the TV show, and I was like, oh, okay. And so to me, watching Aunt Jenna walk in the room was like, what the hell? It was unexpected, and it was like I have to get some type of, 'cause I usually don't ask for pictures of people unless I interviewed them. Unless I'm the one who personally interviewed them, I don't ask for a picture because otherwise it's weird. when I interview somebody, I do first off the handshake, because like, hey, Dario, how's it going? Blah, blah, how's the con treating you? And I feel like then we do the interview, and then I feel like I can ask for a picture. That's usually how I do it. If I did not shake your hand and talk with you a little bit, I don't ask for a picture. To me, it seems a little weird. I may take a picture of you, but I won't ask for a picture of you with me. So I took a picture of her, sent it to this girl I was seeing, and she was freaking out. It was hysterical. It was a great time for me. Very funny, very enjoyable. She was really upset. Great. It's one of those moments you're like, haha, I'm winning this breakup. Anyway, after that, we had the Orville Experience. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Orville is the TV show. It's a sci-fi TV show. I believe it's on Fox. No, it's not on Fox. But anyway, it's created by Seth MacFarlane, who created Family Guy. It also stars Seth MacFarlane, created Family Guy, American Dad. Now, the cast was not there at the event, but we had a lot of behind-the-scenes people. I love talking with behind-the-scenes people. For those of you who don't know, I studied film. So I enjoy the lingo, I enjoy the chit-chat. I enjoy talking industry with people sometimes. It's a lot of fun for me. First off, when you walk in there, you kind of expect certain things and props and costumes to be kind of crappy. Here, the experience was kind of like a museum of things that they've used on the show. And the quality of these items blew me away. I thought that most of this was just kind of like the magic of cinema, the magic of makeup. No, the quality of the stuff in there was phenomenal. I remember there was a dress that the shirt was kind of like in a 3D pattern. I don't even know how to explain it, but you're like, somebody spent an extreme amount of time perfecting this. It's insane. It's insane the quality of work they put in the Orville. I walked out of there a bigger fan than I was. Honestly, it's really, really, really impressive what they do. And so from that show, we got to talk with 3 individuals. The first person, it was John Cassar. Well, I'm sorry, no, he was the last person, but I'll mention them in no particular order. So we spoke to John Cassar, who is one of the executive producers of the show, and who is also directing a few episodes. Now, for those of you who don't know John Cassar, he directed a few episodes. He was a producer and directed some episodes of 24. So 24. So the guy has a background in action, and I always thought that was interesting. And as we were talking, the guy says that the show is now coming into what they want the show to be. Now, Seth MacFarlane did not want to make this a comedy, but the first few episodes, they do kind of have to try to be a little bit funny because the studio expected something that Seth MacFarlane made to be funny. However, as it's progressed, it's become more just of a pure sci-fi show. It's the way that one of the people described it as a love letter to Star Trek, and I'll leave it. I'll leave it as his description. It's his show. I'll get to him in a minute. And so, what the action aspect, and once you start putting 2 and 2 together, you're like, yeah, this show is not a comedy. It's a sci-fi show. It's a drama with funny people in it, and it takes a while for them to actually be able to get into that aspect of it. But it's a phenomenal show. So we spoke to John Cassar a little bit about action and what the direction he wants to take for the show, his favorite character, stuff like that. Then we spoke to Tom Constantino, who is an editor and a producer of the show. Now, for those of you who understand film or who've worked in film before, those are 2 very different types of personalities. Editors and producers, very different types of people. Very different types of people. You need 2 different types of brains to do those jobs. And the fact that this guy was doing both, I found super interesting. And apparently he also handles all the social media for the show. So to say that this guy is OCD, a little OCD is, kind of like watering that down a little. Now a lot of things make sense of why the attention to detail on the show, because you have to be very, very precise, very, very OCD to be a editor, and a producer is kind of a control freak. So it's interesting. It was really fun meeting him. It was a really fun guy who's walking around with a blaster. It was great. But now the last person that we met was Brooke Nuska. I'm pretty sure I butchered her last name. I'm sorry, Brooke. You were an extremely delightful person to meet and to converse with. I loved our conversations. I'm sure I just butchered your last name. But she is the video effects producer, and she is the one person on the show who got nominated for an Emmy. if you see the quality of the video, of the production value on that show, the quality of the effects, it's film quality stuff, and they have to do it on a week-to-week thing. I mean, they don't do it week-to-week, but they have a time crunch. Now, I know that probably this year it's going to be Game of Thrones and blah, 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 but Game of Thrones had 2 years to do it. This chick had to do it in such a small amount of time compared to the rest of them. And she's so cool, so nice. I love talking to Brooke. She was phenomenal. She's extremely talented. She's excited. It's her first Emmy nomination. I was rooting for her. I actually met her again at another time. I'll get into that when that happened. Super cool, super excited. She walked us through the moment when she got the news that, oh my God, you're getting an Emmy nomination. And it was great. It's fun meeting a person who is still genuinely excited for something. If you meet somebody if you meet Meryl Streep, who's been nominated for 1 billion Oscars, at one point she's like, oh yeah, I got nominated. I expected it, you know? But when you meet somebody when they're at their first, you know, you never forget your first. You never forget your first. And I'm rooting for her. Honestly, the quality of her work has been phenomenal. And now that, it's funny when you meet somebody, you're like, nice person. I want you to do well. I'm gonna push for you. I'm gonna hope you do extremely well. So I'm pushing for her now. If in case you're wondering, I have issues with the Emmys. I had strong complaints last week about the Emmys and the Game of Thrones stuff. But good on Brooke. I hope she wins. Honestly, I really, really hope she wins this. And okay, so that was it for the Orville experience. I'll be loading those interviews were actually a little bit longer because we had a little bit more time. And for some reason, people don't like talking to background people. We had very awesome conversations. They're really interesting people. They sometimes they know more of the show than than the stars that are on it. So because they're there day one and they're there after the actors are gone. So anyway, fun stuff for me there. That was a little something just for me. So from there, the last thing that we had on Thursday, this is still Thursday, remember, we had a red carpet for a Cirque du Soleil event. So Cirque du Soleil is promoting their new show. It's called RUN. So R.U.N. Run. RUN. So the show sounds phenomenal. I enjoy Cirque du Soleil. I'm a big fan of their work. They are the most talented acrobats in the world, and now that they're expanding, because I remember I saw the Cirque du Soleil show at SeaWorld last year where dudes are just doing stunts on jet skis or with the water jetpack. They're phenomenal. I've really enjoyed their stuff. I'm a big fan of every single thing that they've done. Well, not every single thing, but I haven't seen every single thing, but every single thing that I've seen that they've done, I've been a big fan of. Highly enjoyable stuff, high quality stuff. And so what they did now is they teamed up with director Robert Rodriguez from the Mariachi, Sin City, now Alita Battle Angel. And he wrote a script, he wrote a story for the next show. And this is going to be their first live-action thriller. And for those of you who don't understand what that means, join the club. But at first I had no idea what that meant. But apparently it's going to be a stunt-centered show. So we got to talk with, first off, the director of the show, whose name is Michael Schwant. Butchered his name as well, I'm pretty sure. But Michael was a really cool dude. He talked about some of the how the show came together, how the acrobats, how the stunt, and basically what he said. I'm going to try to explain what he told to me. Basically, it's going to be a Cirque du Soleil stunt show, but with kind of a comic book story in it. So it's going to be, the story I think is going to be about two gangs, and the show is going to be kind of performed comic book style, and it's going to have actually close-ups. So they're going to have cameras pointed on the acrobats, and they will put that on the big screen. So it's like a close-up while you're still seeing the thing being performed. And it's going to be mostly fights and big stunts, regular movie stunts between two gangs. So they did a little performance there, and they had some fighting, some stage fighting, and some dudes in motorcycles flipping around, jumping. It was a flat stage. The things that they do with these motorcycles is incredible. They also had somebody fall off a building. It looks like a very, very impressive show. I can't wait to see it. Like it was beyond phenomenal. Well, I won't say beyond phenomenal, but yeah, phenomenal. I think phenomenal is already beyond all. Whatever, doesn't matter. It looks great. From the little thing that they saw at us and that they showed us, and what I talked with people there, It looks amazing. It looks like a very, very, very entertaining, very interesting show. And also, I got to speak with the composer, the person who composed all the music. His name was Tyler Bates. Now, for those of you who don't know, Tyler Bates is a big fucking deal in the movie industry. Let me just give you some of the movies he's composed music for. John Wick, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Watchmen, Deadpool. He also collaborated with for the last John Wick. He did the song with Bullet Holes. I think it's Bullet Holes. And so he collaborated with them. He collaborated in their last album. He has made the sound. He's composed the music for 10 number one films and is doing the music for the upcoming Hobbs and Shaw movie. So, dude's a big deal. Dude's a big deal in the music industry and particularly in the film composer industry. So, it was very exciting to meet him. Now, musicians could go one way or the other. They could be douches or they can be like really nice, calm people. He's a very nice, calm person. I had a very pleasant conversation with him. Unfortunately, where we were doing the interview, we were right next to the stage. I don't know why they put us next to the stage. Oh, by the way, this happened at the red carpet. I don't know if I mentioned that already. But, so, we're there. We're at the red carpet, and they put the red carpet right next to the speakers for the stage, which was bullshit. It's like, hey, we're trying to record audio, right, dicks? So it was a pleasant conversation. I kept it kind of short because, again, a lot of people wanted to talk to him. It was his show there. He wanted to go mingle. But super nice guy, super, super interesting. His career is phenomenal. I tried to get him to say if he was going to go on tour again or not, or what was the next project. He wasn't. He's a professional, but super, super awesome guy. Check out his IMDb, Tyler Bates. Okay, now, moving on. That's for the show. Also, the music on the show, while they were doing the stunts, they played the music. Sounds phenomenal. Honestly, I can't wait for that show. I won't go the opening weekend unless I get tickets, but for free. But I will definitely go check it out. And so, if you want to my review for that, I'll let you know eventually. So, other than that, we also had voice actress Julie Nathanson. Now, Julie, I've met. She's voiced a whole bunch of different. Again, if you're a good voice actor, you will have a lot of work, and you'll be everywhere. She's voiced everybody in the DC, females in the DC and Marvel universes, all video games, movies, TV shows. It's too much. But I met her last year for the Lego DC Supervillains video game. She's super nice, very nice. We already had a rapport. Fortunately, she remembered me because I'm the only idiot who asked about Kingdom Hearts. Because she voices a character from Final Fantasy, and Final Fantasy appears in Kingdom Hearts, and I wanted to know. And last year she said, "You want to get me fired, dumbass? You can't ask that question. What's wrong with you?" She didn't say that, but it's pretty much what she said. And so this year I decided, you know what? I'm going to double down. So I asked her about Kingdom Hearts 4. I basically got the same answer, but we had fun. Like we had a rapport. She's a very, very nice lady, very talented as well. But now after her, we got a little lady called Kathy Kelly. Now, for those of you who don't know Kathy Kelly, I was in your group, but we did a quick research before it started, and apparently she is she's the YouTube personality for WWE. She's the face of the WWE on YouTube. She runs their channel. And apparently the WWE's YouTube channel is the third largest on YouTube. Not surprised. Not surprised at all. But we got to meet Kathy Kelly. Now, I grew up with wrestling. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not caught up on all the new stuff. I've followed one or two storylines here and there, like the story The Man, only because we met her when she was in the studio. So I'm a big fan of hers, but I'm mostly an old school guy. Now, my kid brother is a huge WWE guy. Huge. And I mean, like, he even watches independent wrestlers from Japan. So to me, basically what I asked for is for her to get her a shout out to my kid brother. She did. I sent it to him. He flipped the fuck out. Super nice chick. I wish I would have known more of her career, honestly, because she was really nice, and I wish I could have talked a little bit more, but, I mean, I didn't know more stuff, so what could I do? And the thing about red carpets, you don't know who's going to show up, they give you like 10 pages, like, all right, these are the people we invited. Some of them may show up, some of them may not. And you're just like frantically trying to like, okay, who's this person? All right, okay, name, I don't recognize the name. You look up their IMDb. Oh, I do know him. Okay, you write a little something. So it's frantic. It's frantic, and you don't always know it, and you kind of just have to fly off the seat of your pants. So fortunately, it went well, really nice, and I got the shout out. So you're welcome, Eric. You are welcome. After that, I got to meet, we had Jason Doring from Veronica Mars. Now, he plays Logan Eccles in Veronica Mars. He's also been on the originals, iZombie, Deep Impact, and he voices the character in Kingdom Hearts, Terra. So I kind of had to ask about that one again. Now, Jason, super cool guy, super nice guy, and Veronica Mars was shot, for those of you who don't know, the original series was shot in San Diego, where we are right now, where I'm right now. So we talked about that, how much he likes the city, what's coming up with the future, how the show got canceled, and it was brought back by the fans because they paid to make a movie, and that made Hulu want to continue the show, which is a great story. It's a great story for a show. I wish that other shows could do that, but not all TV shows have the fan support, that kind of fan support. So fortunately, Veronica Mars did, and it's going strong. Look, the next series I think comes out this month or next month. It'll be coming out soon. So very nice, very, very nice guy. After that, we met up with Christopher Heyerdahl again, who again from Van Helsing, and so I got to talk with him just one-on-one a little bit more. We talked about his role, because again, in the round table when we met the first time with him, I couldn't go off on a tangent of asking somebody else about another project they were working on or what they were doing. I kind of had to focus on the show, so to be fair to the people on the table. Here, he was there solo, so we started I started geeking out about Hell on Wheels, the Swede, his work there, and then afterwards, since we were at the end of the line, but because the guy who was next to us, I don't know why I left or something, but we were at the end of the line, so we were there chatting. We were talking about how he's a big fan of Cirque du Soleil, how he's disappointed because he has to leave to work on another project. Couldn't tell me what the project was, but a very super nice guy, which is really weird because he plays a phenomenal villain, and apparently the role of the Swede was written specifically for him. So I mean, kudos if you're that good that somebody writes something specifically for you and it has nothing kind of to do with you, because the dude's a super nice guy and he speaks like American. His accent is American, maybe Canadian. I have to double check that. And they write a character called the Swede who speaks with a Swedish accent and is sinister and evil. That's a testament to your skills, or that's how the way looks at you. The way the world looks at you, like they know you're evil on the inside. This whole nice guy routine, I ain't falling for it. Anyway, so very nice. We talked for a little bit with him. I geeked out a little. It turns out that he is also a big Battlestar Galactica guy. So when they announced that Trisha was going to be there and he was going to have scenes with her, he was going to flip out. He was flipping out, but he tried to be a professional. And I tried to. We bonded over that. Like, dude, did you freak out? Like, yeah. Like, dude, it cost me everything not to ask a Battlestar Galactica question. He's like, I know, me too. Like, I really wanted to, but you can't. So, really fun stuff. Really nice guy. Again, I highly recommend both Hell on Wheels and Hell on Wheels mainly for him, and Van Helsing in general. It's a great TV show. After him, we got one of the stars of Legacies, his actor Quincy Foss. I'm pretty sure that's not how you say it, but that's how it's written, so whatever. By the way, actors tend to be kind of nitpicky about their names. They get really offended when you say their name wrong, and so they want to correct you immediately. And so, I don't know why, but they want to correct you, and that kind of makes things start off with a little bit of tension. Now, I knew this going in, so what my friend Derek suggested is, like, don't say their name, say the character's name if they have a weird name, or just say their first name if it's easy. For example, Christopher Heyerdahl. Just say Christopher, or refer to him as his character on the show. Sam. I am here with Sam from Van Helsing. Stuff like that. So, I'm, by the way, as a person with a weird name that everybody butchers, get over yourself. Get over yourself. It's just a name. Nobody says, in the States, nobody's ever said my name right. I'll tell you. I gave up and I started saying, just Mario with a D. Dario. That's not how you say it. In Spanish, it's Dario. I've never expected an American to get that right. I just don't. You kind of just deal with it. It's like, whatever. I mean, it's close enough. Dario, Mario, close enough. You're not going to get Dario. So you get over yourself a little bit. But it's one of the things that I knew going in, so I was aware of it, and so I tried to kind of just play by that rule. And so I met Quinn. By the way, nobody complained about this because I just called them by their first names or by the character names, so I avoided that one. It was a little rant. I tend to go on rants. I'm sorry. Anyway, so we meet Quincy Foose from the show, from the CW's Legacies. He plays Milton MG Greasley. Super nice kid. Very young, very lovely. You get to see. It's funny when you talk to somebody and you see like, oh, this is why you were cast, right? It's you get to see like that energy, that spark, that it thing. It's they're energetic, they're fun to see on camera, they're fun to interview. So you're like, okay, I can understand why you got casted. So I haven't seen Legacies yet. I haven't even finished the originals, which by the way, it's Vampire Diaries, then the spin-off was the originals, and then the spin-off was Legacies. The originals is better than the Vampire Diaries, but I haven't finished it yet because I got caught up in a whole bunch of other stuff. Anyway, I had to get that out of the way. Still haven't seen Legacies, but you can see why he got casted. Super nice kid. And finally, the last person we got there was Jonathan Mancuda. So he, for those of you who don't know, he appeared on Veep. He was a background actor on Lost that he really wanted me to know that for some reason. But he also appeared on Veep with he plays the role of Congressman Jefferson. Now the dude's a big nerd. And by big nerd, I mean that he's, first off, a tall guy, and second, he is really into comic book stuff. So he was there for Comic-Con, not promoting anything. He was just there for Comic-Con. He was freaking out about comic books and all that stuff, freaking out about collectibles. So we talked about that. Though it was really nice talking to a fellow nerd, but the only bad thing is that at one point he spat at me. You know, while you're talking, sometimes you get overexcited and a little bit of spit comes out, and it's like, dude, you're an actor. I don't know where you've been, man. So it was gross, but it was, what can you do? Now at least I know he kind of owes me one. So if I ever need like a hookup trying to get in there, he owes me. I'll be like, dude, you spat on me. He's like, you know what? Fair enough. Come into the party or something. I'll hook you up with X. So that was that. So that was Thursday. Thursday was kind of busy, but overall not the crazy day. It was not the crazy day. And so now how long am I in? 40 minutes. Should I continue? Should I stop? Should I continue or should I stop? I'll continue. Fuck it. You know what? What the hell? So Saturday, the big thing that we had, starting off, right off the bat, first thing right in through the doors, we had Cobra Kai. Now, for those of you who haven't watched Cobra Kai is kind of the reboot of The Karate Kid, or the continuation of The Karate Kid. It's a show on YouTube. It is the best new show out there, by far. It might be the best reboot ever. Now, Battlestar Galactica was the gold standard for a reboot. Now Cobra Kai is the gold standard for a reboot. And I mean by far. It is a phenomenal show. I highly recommend. I was giddy because when they told me that I might get Cobra Kai, because like, oh my God, I gotta meet Ralph Macchio. By the Ralph Macchio, William Zabka. So Billy Zabka, I might get to meet him. The Karate Kid, Johnny Lawrence. So I was really excited for that already. Then I watched the show, and I was like a little kid, like, this show's fucking awesome. By the end of the first season, no spoilers, by the way, no spoilers. But at the end of the first season, you don't know who you're rooting for. Honestly, I had no idea. I told the person that I was watching it with, I was like, I have no idea who I'm rooting for here. I have no idea who I want to win. I want the both to win. I have no idea how I feel right now. It's a fantastic show. Great storytelling. So I didn't know who we were going to get. Now, I walk into the room, and here's who we had. We had Martin Kove, who plays John Kreese. For those of you who don't remember, he's kind of the sensei in the original Karate Kid. He's the bad guy. We had Mary Mouser, who plays Sammy LaRusso. That's Daniel LaRusso's daughter. We had Tanner Buchanan, who plays Robbie Keane. That is Johnny Lawrence's son. We also had Cholo Maridueña, who plays Miguel Diaz, a.k.a. Menudo, the protege, so to say, of Johnny Lawrence. We had Billy Zabka, who plays Sensei Johnny Lawrence. And we had Ralph Macchio himself, Danny LaRusso, Danny-san. We had everybody who mattered was in that room. I was flipping out inside. Again, fortunately, I'm an implosive person, so I kept it in. But I made my first mistake there. It's not a biggie. They didn't notice. But for every single thing that I was doing, I recorded a backup on my phone, just because I wanted to have the audio. At the middle of it, it was again, we were in the room, so it was our room. They were coloring. The kids love the coloring thing, by the way. Mary Mouser is adorable. She was walking around with a camera, like it was her first Comic-Con, so she was very excitedly walking around, like taking pictures, like, oh my God, we had that table full of toys. She saw them, she flipped out. The kids were just playing around with toys. She saw the coloring thing, like, oh my God, we get to color. So it was adorable. They were adorable. And so it's we had that table. They were in our room. And so they told us that, okay, at one point, some of the cast is going to have to leave. We didn't know who, but I started recording on my phone, and when two of the actors had to leave, the actors who were leaving were Martin Kove and Billy Zabka, who, again, John Kreese, the villain, and Johnny Lawrence. So they had to leave halfway through, which was heartbreaking, because I really, really wanted a picture with Johnny Lawrence. The show has made me become kind of a Johnny Lawrence guy, honestly, no joke. You feel for the guy. You feel for just Sensei Johnny. Sensei Lawrence. He's a great dude, and I wanted to take a picture with him. I wanted to take a picture with him in a course banquet. Would have been great, but he had to leave halfway through. And so as he was about to leave, I thought, you know what? I got to take a quick video of this. So I pick up my phone, I switched to video, and just do a quick video of the table so that you can see who was in it, and so I can at least prove that I met Billy Zabka, was in the same room. So I didn't realize that by doing that, it shut off my sound recording thing, so I only have up to that point in the interview. Afterwards, we were alone, not alone in the room, but we were there with Ralph Macchio and the three kids. Super nice, super interesting, but again, every fiber of your being was like, I want to speak to Ralph Macchio about the Karate Kid. And it was a phenomenal experience. It was very interesting. I got to ask a really good question, and we got a pretty funny moment, because earlier while Billy Zabka was there, my friend Derek, it was me and Derek interviewing the whole cast, right? And so Derek asked Billy Zabka about Johnny's, future relationship and how he's kind of may or may not be dating a certain person. And so Mary Mouser, who played, again, Sam, I'm just going to call him by the characters. Sammy LaRusso says, "Oh, I ship you two so much." And everybody, all the grown-ups in the room kind of just looked at her and were confused. We're like, what the hell does ship mean? At first, we're like, did she just say shit? I shit you two so much. And, but then she kind of noticed that nobody understood that. And Billy had to ask, like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, it means that I want you two to be together so much, blah, blah. Like, and then I said, like, oh, I thought you just cussed at him for no reason. Wow. So, fortunately, they enjoyed that. Anyway, so I asked them, the show is kind of, it's kind of like a clash of generations, right? You have an iconic franchise from the 80s on YouTube, which is a very, very modern thing. It's where most kids now get their entertainment, like the current generations. And so have they ever clashed? Like the thing that we just witnessed this right now. Again, this is when Billy had already left the room. And it's like, we just witnessed that with Billy and the whole ship thing. And so Ralph Macchio goes into a rant of not understanding what an Instagram story is. It's phenomenal. And Tanner, who plays, again, Robbie Keane, was trying to explain to him, and he gave up, and so he just started recording him, Ralph Macchio suffering, trying to understand what an Instagram story is. It was great. It was a great moment. You kind of feel for the guy. Because sometimes I didn't understand a lot of these things until I actually had to do it. But, oh, dude, it's so funny. It was so funny. You get to see, like, the rapport. The guys actually care about the kids. It made me love the show even more. The kids, too. I asked Cholo. I got to, actually, by the way, I got to see Cholo and Tanner afterwards, but in another event. But I'll talk about that later. But I asked Cholo afterwards, after the interview was done. I really wanted to know, because I'm from Tijuana. We have a soccer team called Cholos. Well, the full name is Cholos Quintles, but they call them Los Cholos. So I really wanted to know if his parents named him after the soccer team. I really wanted to know. It was a stupid question, and I was not going to ask it on camera because I knew it was a stupid question. So I asked him privately, and he's like, "Oh no, it's my parents are big soccer fans, but not of that team. It's Aztec. It means Aztec, blah blah." Like, all right, okay, cool. Thanks, Menudo. So we kind of had a rapport there, which helped out afterwards. I'll get into that later. But yeah, got to meet the Karate Kid, man. Danny LaRusso. Honestly, that was one of the highlights of Comic-Con for me. It was one of the things that I was most looking forward to. And Saturday, it wasn't Friday there, right off the bat. And I need you to understand one thing. Friday and Thursday kind of sucked for me because Thursday and Friday, the show that I work on here in San Diego, they were, they didn't suck. They were phenomenal, but energy-wise, they kind of suck, and I'll explain. The show that I work for, we're live from downtown for Comic-Con. We have our big Comic-Con broadcast. It's the morning show. So if they're over there, that means that I have to be in studio running the board, making sure that everything goes okay here, making sure they're on the air, and that usually means that I have to get here an hour early. So I got into the studio at 4:50 a.m., Then we did the whole show. Then I finished editing the podcast for the show. I finished everything that I have to do for the show, all my duties here for the show. Then I had to run downtown and to do all the Comic-Con stuff. And we left there kind of like, 10? We left the red carpet almost closer to 11. So I ended up getting home close to midnight. That's Thursday. The next day, I had to be in studio again at 4:50 a.m. Was there. Finish all that stuff up. As soon as I was done, I had like an hour extra than the day before, so I went to the gym to take a quick shower there, head downtown, and do Cobra Kai. So I slept nothing for a couple of days. Nothing. And that day ended really late, too. So I was running on fumes, but getting to meet the Karate Kid just gave me like a bolt of energy. It was like, oh my God, I got the record. So fantastic start to Friday, but it continues going up. After that, I had the Witcher panel. So that was in Hall H, and it's okay. We're sending you to Hall H so you can see what the hell the show's about. And afterwards, you're gonna have another panel, and then afterwards you have a Witcher roundtable, right? So the roundtable, I've already explained kind of how that works. Basically, it's like 9 reporters and on a roundtable and an extra seat. That's usually for a star or a producer of the show. They come in, they sit down, and you ask them questions. It's not as fun. Our room was the most fun because they get to color, you get the whole cast, you get to you have better interactions. Everybody who I talked to loved our bit, by the way. I mean, I asked Christopher again from Van Helsing, and he said that it was his favorite interview so far, and it was the last one probably and it was the last day of interview, so it was his favorite one there. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the round table, it's the least fun because you kind of have to share questions with other people, and sometimes one of them, they steal your question. They're like, oh, God damn it. Or even worse, they don't do a follow-up that you think would be good. So let's say right now, I'm going to do something ridiculous. So let's say somebody asks a question about costumes, right? And the person answers something that could be very interesting about a storyline. So let's say a particular item that might lead to something else in the story. And instead of, and if you don't do it quick enough, and if you don't do that follow-up, sometimes somebody asks about something about, let's say, the sound. And you're like, no, you missed an opportunity, you fucking dumbass. You should have asked about the other thing that could have meant something. And so it's really, like, okay, I'll give you an example of how you could understand. Let's say, for example, I don't know, let's say Stephen Strange with Benedict Cumberbatch. You're talking to Benedict Cumberbatch, and he says, like, oh, yeah, no, I'm wearing the The necklace, the Agamotto was kind of uncomfortable, but blah, blah. And so immediately you should be asking, like, is that the time stone? Or is there if he can hint anything related to that, or how would that relate to the rest of stuff? But instead somebody else talks about, I don't know, like I said, sound. So what do you think of the sound quality of this? It's stupid. It's stupid, and it's really stressful sometimes. So the least enjoyable thing to do is roundtable. Anyway, I went on a rant. I'm sorry. I keep doing this. I have a lot of stuff to say. Anyway, so the next thing that I had there was the Witcher panel. I got to go to Hall H. And for the Witcher panel, we got, again, I loaded video of this on my Instagram stories. If you saw it, I will load it again probably somewhere. So, yeah, I'll load it again. I'll be loading everything that I'm talking about today. So we had Lauren Schmidt, who's the creator of the show, The Witcher, and who's also produced Daredevil, The Umbrella Academy, and Parenthood. For those of you who didn't watch Parenthood, it's a great drama. And Daredevil was the best show on Netflix, maybe until now. I don't know. The point is she's really good. And we had Freya Allan, who plays Ciri on The Witcher, and Anya Kalotra, who plays Yennefer. Now, for those of you who don't know what The Witcher is, it's a fantasy show based on a video game that's based on a book. It's Polish. It's a classic Polish story. The game is phenomenal. The Witcher 3 is by many considered, it won Game of the Year, and you can debate people whether or not it's the best open world game. I think that the best... I'm not going to get into this. The point is, it's a very popular game. It's a phenomenal game. Phenomenal game, phenomenal story, phenomenal gameplay. Highly recommend it. The stories are also pretty interesting. But anyway, so during the Witcher panel, you had those three come out, and the big star of the show, who plays Geralt of Rivia, Henry Cavill. Now, for those of you who don't know who Henry Cavill is, he is Superman. He plays Superman in the latest Superman movies. The dude is gigantic. It's funny because he dwarfs the rest of the cast. Well, I mean, there was only 4 people there, and there were girls, but he dwarfs everybody. He's a gigantic human being. And that panel was really interesting because you get to find out kind of how Henry Cavill works. It turns out that the way... I assumed that Netflix reached out to Henry Cavill and like, hey, dude, do you want to do this? Because you're an A-lister, you're fucking Superman. It turns out it was the other way around. Turns out that Henry Cavill pestered the producer and creator of the show for weeks. They didn't even have a script, and he was pestering her and pestering her and pestering her. Like every single day, he told his agents, give her a call, give her a call, give her a call. I want to be Geralt of Rivia because he loved the video game so much. He played so much because he's a huge gamer. He's a gamer. He's more of a World of Warcraft guy, but he loved The Witcher. He's a gamer dude, which I'll get into a little bit later. But the point is, he was pestering her because he really wanted to be Geralt. And one of the ways that he prepared for it was he bought a whole bunch of swords. And so he has swords at home. He has swords in his office. He has swords in the training studio. He has swords at the gym. So he bought a whole bunch of swords. And whenever he had a free minute, he'd just be practicing his swords. He'd be playing around with the sword all day. So I found that awesome. I love the commitment to the role. Made me like Henry Cavill more. And the dude can work a room, man. He can work fucking room. It's impressive. Like he knows what he's got. He knows he's Superman. He knows he can do it, and he pulls it off. It was very impressive. Honestly, I was very, very impressed with Henry Cavill, and it made me like him a little bit more. He's a really nice dude, really talented, good stuff. Now, after that, we had the next panel was The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. For those of you who don't know this, it's another Netflix TV show. It's based on the original Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal. Now, I've been speaking to a listener about this show a little bit. Well, I spoke to him a little bit. He really wanted me to talk about the show. I mentioned it briefly, but he really wanted me to get into it. I told him, dude, I haven't seen the show. I'll get into it a little bit later after I see the show, because it seems like it's going to be an interesting mix of puppets and CGI. So it's a puppet movie of the 21st century, right? It looks really good. Okay, here's who came out. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Well, it was Jim Henson's daughter who came out. She's going to be one of the creators. They brought up the director. I forget his name. Taron Egerton, who recently played Rocket Man in the movie Rocket Man. Elton John, and he's the star of the Kingsman movies. Anyway, he came out, and after nobody expected Taron to be there, by the way. And after that guy came out, Mark fucking Hamill. Mark Hamill, Luke fucking Skywalker, walks into Hall H and everybody loses their shit. Their shit. It was phenomenal. Nobody expected him to be there. Nobody. He plays the scientist on the show, apparently, which is not that big of a... Well, he's kind of the villains, I guess. But nobody expected him to be there at all. We all lusted. We went ballistic. We saw Luke Skywalker walk out right in front of us. It's... you know, it's like seeing a unicorn. Actually, no, there's somebody else I would describe as seeing a unicorn. But it was, what the hell's happening? And talk about, I just said Henry Cavill knows how to work a room. He's got nothing on Luke fucking Skywalker, man. Holy shit. He knows how to tease enough to get, like, he makes references to certain things that, like, let's say, for example, when I was, voicing a particular, evil clown for a certain animated show, and everybody just loses, like, my God, Joker, blah, blah. So he's been doing this for a while. He knows how to work a room. He got them screaming every time he talked. It was so much fun. It was so unexpected to see Mark Hamill out there, and they showed more than the trailer for the show. They showed a little documentary. It was tiny. It was like 3 to 5 minutes, a documentary of making the show. Oh my God. Some of the things that I thought were CGI, some of the movements that I thought were CGI were actually puppet movements. Like a puppet climbing on like a charging, another animal that was charging. And you think, oh, well, that was CGI, right? No, they did that with puppets. Apparently they had hundreds and hundreds of puppeteers. It's phenomenal. It looks amazing. I was excited for the show before. It's a must-see for me now. It looks like an amazing, amazing TV show. But okay, that's. I'm gonna leave it there for now. I might break down these shows more after they come out. I believe they have a release date. Well, The Witcher doesn't have a release date. The Dark Crystal does. It's slipping my mind. So sorry. Anyway, so after that, I had the round table for The Witcher. Right. As soon as I walk into the room, they tell us, okay, this is gonna be audio only, no video, no pictures. And I was like, okay, that's fair. You can have, okay, that's fine. I understand it. It's the first time that ever happened to me, but I was okay. So we're sitting there. I get into, and I think this was my first round table of the whole con. So I'm sitting at the round table. I'm talking to other of the reporters there, and we kind of start setting up a deal. We're like, okay, somebody decides, okay, I'm going to ask them to state their name and the role on the show so that we can all record it and we'll know who we're talking about. And we're like, oh yeah, we start, developing a certain rapport, certain dynamics. And then walks into the room Lauren Smith, again, the creator, Freya Allan, Siri, who plays Siri, Anya Kalotra, who plays Yennefer, and that's it. That's fucking it. Superman did not come into the room, and you could just feel the whole room deflate. It was heartbreaking. Everybody was there to see Henry, to talk about Henry, because he's the star of the fucking show. And because we had just seen him in Hall H. Anyway, that also made a few of us say, like, dude, like, over half of my questions for Henry. I don't even know where we're going to take this anymore. I don't know the other two chicks. They're kind of newcomers. But anyway, speaking to Lauren, she's a pro. She knows what she's doing. She told us about how Netflix reached out to her because they wanted her to do the show. She was like, I don't know. I've never done fantasy. I don't kind of want to do it. But they were like, no, you're doing this even if you don't want to. So she read the books. She loved them. It's like, okay. And she explained that the way that the story, how it's going to... By the way, I saw the trailer for the show. They showed it there. Looks really good. It looks really, really, really good. Anyway, so she talked about how one of the things from the books and from the video game is that you don't really get background on Ciri and Yennefer. So the show is handled in a way where you get their background stories as well, but you also get to see them in current time. So it's... And also because there's a particular time in the story where Ciri's not even alive. And so how they handle all that, super interesting to me. Super interesting stuff. The show sounds really good. If they manage to bring all the elements that they want to bring together, it sounds like it's going to be really, really good. Anyway, so next we got to meet Anya Kalotra, again, who plays Jennifer. She is a very interesting human being. You could tell that she hadn't done that before. She was extremely nervous. I don't want to say mousy, but she was kind of like timid, and a few times some of her answers were like, oh my God, that was a terrible answer. So you could tell she was extremely nervous. Not again, kind of a newcomer, but from what I saw on screen, she knows how to turn it on and off. So it's one of the reasons why they casted her is because of certain things in her body language. Because apparently the way that they're going to portray Yennefer is that she begins the show kind of crippled, and then afterwards they show like the woman, she becomes the overconfident sorceress, right? So you get to see both sides of her, and then you see this girl in front of you, who by the way is also tiny, and you're like, wow, you're a phenomenal actress. You are phenomenal, because the girl I saw on screen and the woman I saw on screen and the girl I'm seeing right now don't match up. So I can understand why they casted her. She was interesting to talk to. The problem is that she hadn't read the books and she hadn't played the video games, so she kind of just want to do her own thing. And that left everybody else on the table kind of like, well, what are we supposed to ask you about? Because we kind of wanted to talk about the story and all that stuff, but you don't know it. Or at least you can't really tell us a little bit more about the lore or the fan base or anything. So it was a fun interview. She was interesting, but it kind of, again, it was a deflated feeling. It's like, okay, we got one of the B characters, but we wanted the A, you know? You wanted Superman. So imagine you want Superman and you get the Green Lantern. You still got the Green Lantern, but you wanted Superman. Anyway, after that we got to speak to Freya, who plays Ciri. Super nice girl as well. Adorable, also tiny, very tiny human being. And same issue with her. She did not read the books or play the games. So it kind of left us with nowhere to go other than the basic questions like, how do you prepare for the role? Like, how it's last year you were, in school, now you're doing this. How does it feel? So it was still fun. It was still interesting, but it was not what we expected. We expected Superman, bro. We wanted Superman. But it is what it is. You can't control these things. Henry Cavill was probably off at the gym somewhere, doing his thing. It makes sense. He was sword fighting with somebody. I did not mean that in the weird way. Anyway, so after that, the final thing that we had that day was we had the Jay and Silent Bob handprint ceremony. Now, this was happening somewhere else downtown. We were going to be part of the press coverage there. And basically, it is what it sounds like. It was going to be Jason Mewes, who, again, I met the day before, and Kevin Smith, director Kevin Smith, who plays Silent Bob, and they were going to put their hands in cement, and they're going to put those things on the sidewalk. They're going to be immortalized in the sidewalks of San Diego. Well deserved, if you ask me. Now, last year, I think they did Stan Lee, and the person who was leading the ceremony was Kevin Smith, and this year they got Kevin Smith, so it was kind of emotional because of the Stan Lee thing. They were big friends. Again, Stan Lee, his last cameo on film happened on Jason Mewes' movie, so it was emotional because of that side. It was a lot of fun. I got to speak to Jason again. That we got into a little bit deeper than we did in the day before. Again, he already kind of knew me, so it was easier to talk about that. And then when it came my turn to Kevin Smith, they said, "Oh wait, you're getting him next, but let me just send him out here to do three interviews at a time. So we're gonna put him up in front of 3 reporters, and then you'll get him." I was like, "Okay, fine. We'll be the last ones." Those 3 vulture son of a bitches hugged Kevin Smith like crazy. They hugged him so much. Well, I don't mean hug. That by then, dude, I'm sorry, but we gotta go. Otherwise, it's my head. I can't. And so I could not interview Kevin Smith. I mean, I got to shake his hand, but it was like, all right, okay, nice meeting you, congrats, blah blah. But it was like, son of a bitch, I wanted to interview Kevin Smith. I have so many questions. Kevin Smith is an idol of indie films. Jesus Christ, the dude The movie Clerks, he financed with his own credit cards. He got credit cards to pay for credit cards. He got himself in debt just to make his career happen because he had that much faith in his talent, or he wanted to take a risk. He's a risk taker, man. I want to talk to the guy. But anyway, alas, I didn't get to meet him. And so by that point, we were done. We were free. And I believe, me and Cody, we went to a little party. The Batshit Crazy Night was an event by a CW event for promoting the new TV show Batwoman. There were some celebs there, but we didn't care. Me and Cody were there for the free food and the free drinks, which were delightful. The drinks were actually really good. Really, really good. And the food was okay. I don't even know what I ate. It was one of those things that I'm so hungry that I'll just eat anything, and I'm exhausted. So by the end of that, when the time the party ended, I was like, I'm done. But a friend of mine had texted me earlier. She works downtown. He's like, oh, stop by, say hi, blah, blah. And so I stopped by. I had a beer there, and then I just went home. I called it, an early night. I still ended up getting home after 10 p.m. But, could have been worse. I was dead. And so that's it. Those were the first 2 days of Comic-Con. Again, all these videos, as soon as I get them, I will load them on my YouTube page. I'll edit them, and then I'll load them on my YouTube page because I want you to see it. You're just hearing me say stuff. I need, Pixar didn't happen, bro. Pixar didn't happen. So throughout the day, I will be loading, again, pictures of the celebrities that I met and things that I encountered there. So I'll be loading them onto my Instagram at Dario the Show if you want to check them out. And eventually, I will get all the material and I'll edit it. I also recorded this one. Again, I'm recording again. I'm not going to do a video for it because I don't have the material and it would just look ridiculous. But it's nice to be on camera again. I haven't stopped. Honestly, I've been talking for an hour and 11 minutes. Well, maybe a little bit left. But I have not stopped recording, which is good. It makes me feel like I'm getting in a rhythm. Anyway, that's just myself. I'm just patting myself in the back. But anyway, that's it. That's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And tomorrow we will finish up Comic-Con with days 3 and 4 of the event. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again tomorrow.